Hello again, everybody. Hope you all are having a great day, and I hope you are ready for another video, because I'm back and I'm ready. Today we'll be discussing about all the 9 realms in the MCU. I'll explain all of them individually, and after that I'll tell you who lives where, so on and so forth. So basically we'll just go over all the general knowledge about the 9 realms. And hopefully by the end of this video you will have gained a reasonable amount of MCU knowledge. Alright, so getting straight into the video, what are the 9 realms? Alright, so first, a quick summary of the 9 realms. Basically, they are a group of 9 different worlds split up in different galaxies across the universe. So, all these planets are interconnected by the Yggdrasil, which is the figurative world tree, where all the branches are connecting into individual realms, therefore connecting everything together. Now, usually these realms keep to themselves or to other realms, and they hardly ever interact with other civilizations around them. Now, I'm not gonna lie, I really don't know why, but that's just how it is. And so now that we have a basic idea of the topic, let's move on to our more in-depth explanations of the realms individually. So, first off, we have Asgard. Inhabited by the Asgardians, was usually considered to be the head of the 9 realms, and the Asgardians were debatably the most powerful species throughout all the realms. Apart from this, they were also like a force that tried to keep peace at all times. When Odin ruled Asgard, he and his troops acted as like the protectors of the realms. Now throughout the MCU, we see Asgard on 3 different occasions, in Thor, Thor the Dark World, and Thor Ragnarok. At one point, the Asgardians produced a sister race called the Vanir, who eventually moved into their own realm called Vanaheim. The Vanir closely resemble the Asgardians with their increased durability, strength, and speed, and they look very similar to humans, therefore also looking similar to Asgardians. Now, Vanaheim only appears in one movie, which is Thor the Dark World. Okay, on to our next realm, Nidavellir, home of the Dwarves. The Dwarves were extremely skilled forgers, and due to their close relationship with the Asgardians, they forged many weapons for them. The 2 most famous weapons being Thor's first hammer, Mjolnir, and his second hammer, Stormbreaker. In Avengers Infinity War, Thanos goes to Nidavellir and he forces the dwarves to make him an Infinity Gauntlet. Knowing how skilled they were, he knew that they would be able to make him a gauntlet that would sustain the power of all 6 of the stones. After they finished the gauntlet for him, he massacred all of them to make sure that no weapon could be made that could rival up to Thanos' power. The only survivor of this massacre was the dwarf Eitri, who then forged Stormbreaker for Thor. Now, this instance in Avengers Infinity War is the only time that we see Nidavellir in the MCU. Another realm is Alfheim. Alfheim is the home of the Light Elves. Since this realm has only been mentioned briefly in any of the movies, all the other information that we have about it comes from the comics universe, which we cannot confirm is how they depicted it in the movies, so we'll just move on to the next one. Muspelheim. This realm is completely covered in flames all the time. It is where the fire demons come from, and it is ruled by Surtur. For those of you who do not know or just need some clarification, Surtur is the one who destroyed Asgard during Thor Ragnarok. We also see Thor in Muspelheim in the start of that same movie, while he's fighting all those fire demons with Mjolnir. Alright, so now we have Svartalfheim. This is the home of the Dark Elves. It is also known as the Dark World. Now, some background info about the Dark World is in 2988 BC, there was an extremely destructive battle fought between the Asgardians and the Dark Elves in this planet. The Asgardians were led by Bor, father of Odin, and the Dark Elves were led by Malekith. Eventually, the Asgardians were victorious and the Dark Elves went almost extinct, with just Malekith and a few of his soldiers having survived. This caused Svartalfheim to become a deserted wasteland filled with warships and wreckages. And we'll go back into a bit more detail about this war later on in the video. But now, home to the Jotuns, also known as the Frost Giants, Jotunheim. The Frost Giants have tried to take over all the other realms on multiple occasions, only to be stopped by the Asgardians every time. And in 965 AD, the Frost Giants and the Asgardians fought in Jotunheim, where Odin took the Casket of Ancient Winters. This led to the realm starting to decay and break apart. And while this was happening, Loki tried to destroy it completely by using the power of the Bifrost. But since Thor destroyed the Rainbow Bridge, Jotunheim was never completely destroyed. Moving on, we have Niflheim. Niflheim is mostly known for being the realm where Hell is located, which is a shadowy region where Asgardians believe souls of people who have died are held. This is also the area in which Odin banished his daughter Hela. It is shown very briefly in a flashback during the movie Thor Ragnarok. Now, since we don't have much more information about Niflheim, we'll move on to our next and final realm, Midgard. Midgard, which you probably already knew, is Earth. Now, Earth, even though it is part of the 9 realms and all of the other realms revolve around it, the other realms hardly ever interact with them because they are considered to be too underdeveloped for them. Now, since we're very familiar with Earth because we've seen it in basically every MCU film, I'm just gonna leave it at that. But this is not the end of the video, my friends. Do not be worried. Because even though we've looked over all the 9 realms, there are still 2 very important occurrences that happen in the 9 realms that I'd like to go over. Now, first off, we have Ragnarok. Ragnarok is an event that has been foretold by Asgardians for thousands of years. The doomsday where Asgard will be completely destroyed by the ruler of Muspelheim, Surtur. Now, we see all of this play out in Thor Ragnarok. And in the movie, we also see that Thor realizes that he's not supposed to prevent Ragnarok, but he's supposed to use it to destroy his sister Hela. So, he escapes from the realm with all his remaining Asgardians, letting Surtur destroy Asgard along with his sister Hela. So there is your background information about Ragnarok and how it connects to the MCU. But now, we're gonna talk about the Convergence. Now, I've always thought this was quite interesting because the Convergence is an event which takes place about every 5,000 years or so, where the space between the 9 realms slowly decreases until it becomes basically no space at all. This then leads to the creation of portals between all of these 9 separate worlds. Now, about 5,000 years ago, Malekith tried to take advantage of this event to bring back the natural state of darkness, which is where the Dark Elves originated. And he planned to do this with the use of the Infinity Stone, the Ether. But he was stopped by Bor and his army in their big battle in Svartalfheim. So now, Malekith lost the battle, wasn't able to do what he was supposed to do, but he survived. So now what he does is he goes into some state of deep sleep for another 5,000 years. So he can wake up 5,000 years later during the next Convergence to make his second attempt. Now this just so happened to be the time period where Thor was in. So Thor was able to destroy Malekith and make sure that he didn't turn everything into a total state of darkness in Thor the Dark World. And that is it, my friends. Now you have finally come to the end of the video. Now I hope you all enjoyed, and if you did, go ahead and drop a like and subscribe to the channel. Now remember, if any one of you has any specific video in mind that you'd like us to do, just put it down in the comment section below. And once again, I hope you all enjoyed. Thank you for watching, and goodbye.